Here we are, Super Bowl champions, talking to Sheil Kapadia of The Ringer. Sheil, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, guys. How you doing?
Oh,
what up, Sheil?
As good as we could possibly be doing, man. You see that game on Sunday? You miss it? I don't know. Come on, it was great.
It's incredible. You go around town, you go to Wawa, everybody's got a smile on their face. Everyone's got the gear on, and I have to remind the young kids that this is not normal for your team to win the Super Bowl twice in 8 years. So
Yep.
Enjoy it.
So we were, you like many other people, almost all of us, predicted some sort of close game. Even if we had it as a 10-point win, most of us said, and we'll score a touchdown late, and that's how it would be a 10-point win. After seeing the game, do you look back at it at all and say, maybe I should have seen this coming, or still are you blown away about what happened?
Yeah, I'm pretty blown away just because of the history of it. When you look at Patrick Mahomes and his career, this had pretty much a defense had never done this to him. I believe it's the best defensive performance against Mahomes in his career. And just the teams he's quarterbacked, I mean, this was probably the worst loss of his career. You know, if you look at just the margin of victory, it was 18 points, but we all watched the game and know it was worse than that. And so it was just so rare for that Chiefs team to get blown out. And so even though we could have talked about it and said, hey, the Eagles have the more talented team, here's the way they roll to a victory, I still tend to give the quarterback and the coach the benefit of the doubt in that spot. And that's why I thought the Eagles would win, but I thought we were going to get a closer game.
So can I ask you a 3-part Jalen Hurts question?
Let's do it.
Okay, because I perceive you're a down the middle guy, right? And you have the Jalen Hurts doubters, which I am was in that, category, and then you have the huge fans, and I feel like you just call it as you see it. So the first part of the 3-part question would, to my eyes, the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl were by far the 2 best games he played all year. Did you perceive that as well?
Yes, I agree with that. I think just watching the film of it, and then looking at you can look at the numbers, and it backs that up, that he kind of rose to the occasion when the stakes were their highest, the 2 biggest games. Yeah, I would agree with that those were his 2 best games of the season. Okay,
so that's first part. Second part of the 3-part question, would you also agree that there was nothing in that game, that in either of those games, that seemed out of character for them to do in the offense they have? He didn't throw the ball 35, 40 times. Like, it seemed like what they did was something they could replicate. Would you agree with that or not?
I agree with that, too. Yeah, they didn't have a bunch of wrinkles. It's not like they changed what they did. They kind of did what they've been doing. They just did it at a higher level. So, yes, I would agree with that as well.
Okay, so third and final part. A lot of people told me during the year when it said that they should throw the ball more, so on and so forth, that they don't need to, and they will when they need to. That doesn't calculate for me. So I can't figure out what was different in that they could accomplish it there, but they chose not to during the season. And I guess it's sort of this past season, but also looking forward to next year. Do you think that the games we saw there, obviously they're not going to play as great as they played the last 2 games, but this is sort of a model for how they should look moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, we know Jalen Hurts' strengths and weaknesses, I think, at this point, and I thought the Super Bowl, and to maybe a lesser degree, the NFC Championship game, we saw him lean into his strengths and the team lean into his strengths more so than they did all season. We were having conversations in the middle of the season saying not necessarily why don't they throw the football more, but why aren't they pushing the ball downfield? I mean, from Jalen Hurts' first start, that has been his strength, is that he throws a beautiful deep ball. If you get a one-on-one on the outside, go ahead and take it. And I think there were times during the regular season, a big stretch of the regular season, where they said, if we're not 100% sure about it, let's not take the risk and let's not even attempt those plays. I mean, they had stretches where they just didn't push the ball downfield. Well, what did we see in this game? I mean, they took shots downfield. He threw it downfield beautifully. And so I think those are the things going forward that you could say this can be the foundation of the offense. Downfield passing, scrambling, and the run game, lean on the offensive line. Obviously, they just won the Super Bowl. I think that's a formula that can work.
Yeah, I look at the way he played, and I say it's on him. I think a lot of these play designs have been there all year. He doesn't throw the ball. He leaves the pocket early. He doesn't see things that are open. And therefore, the passing game isn't as effective, even though they're throwing the ball the same 25 times. There were games where he was only completing 12 of those passes, 13 of those passes. I just think he started to play better, Sheil. I don't know if he felt more confident, if he's seeing the field better. I don't think the coaches were doing anything differently. I think a lot of it is, Jalen, can you identify what's going on here and get the ball out there with confidence? And that's why you would get receivers being frustrated, because they're coming back and they're like, well, hold on, man, this play was open. That play was open. Why didn't we throw the ball there? And I just think for where only he knows what it was, he just felt more confident in those last couple of games. Maybe he saw the field better, right? Like, because in the Rams game, he kind of held on to the ball, right? Or was it the Packers game where he got sacked 7 times?
It was the Rams game.
Yeah, it was one of those games, yeah. So he kind of held on. I think sometimes he's confident and he sees it and he just lets it go instinctually. And then there's times he gets in his own head where he is so averse to turning the ball over, or he feels there may be a negative play there, and he would rather just either eat the ball or scramble around and run or make an off-script play. This passing game can be good if Jalen is playing with the confidence level he played with in the NFC Championship game in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. When I just said he's got defined strengths and weaknesses, I think the thing he can continue to work on is what you just mentioned, is not being afraid to cut it loose and be confident in it. Like you said, there were many times this season where you say he turned down a throw. And like you said, that's why A.J. Brown, that's why guys were frustrated at times, because they say the play worked, we knew the coverage and we were open. And now the thing I don't know, Ike, is that Jalen Hurts, or is that the coaching staff saying, Jalen, we've got an awesome defense, we've got an awesome running game, we're winning games like this. We don't have an issue with you being a little conservative with your passing game at times. Because this was the most in the regular season, this was the most conservative version of Jalen Hurts we've seen in his career. And so it's not like this is something that he's been for 3, 4, 5 years since he came into the league, where we said, he's not willing to make those throws to this degree where he's taking sacks at a high level and, like you said, throwing the football away. So I think it was a balance, and I'll give Hurts credit because they did. I'm sure there was some conversation after 4 or 5 weeks that we need to prioritize not turning the football over everything else. I just don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
I feel like that had to be a conversation that took place, and he said, okay, if you think that's the way we win games, then that's what I'm going to do. And so, we had all the conversations about the passing game, but guess what? They kept winning, and they kept winning, and they kept winning. And so I don't think there was that, impetus for them to say in week 10, week 11, hey, let's change how we play, because they were winning a lot of football games. And then at the end, when they needed him, I can't emphasize enough how much he showed up when the stakes were at their highest, when it was something maybe they hadn't been consistent with all season long. The guy showed up on the biggest stage against an all-time defensive coordinator in Spags, and he made play after play after play downfield for this offense.
I think it's also fair to mention the two drastic differences in terms of turnovers. Last season and then through 4 games, he was turning it over more than anybody. And then they went the complete opposite way and said, don't take any chances. And I think maybe what we saw in the NFC Championship game and Super Bowl was his mind finding, and even coaching, finding the middle. What is the middle between taking chances and taking too many chances?
I will say this, Sheil and Spike. Not a lot of difficult throws in those 2 games.
No, but
they were like safe, easy throws out there where only his guy can get the ball.
Sure, but there were even, and you said it when you're saying there were one-on-one shots that he was not taking in the middle of the season.
Earlier, for sure.
So, but it was great, and I hope
he has to carry that to next year.
We don't want another 400 touches for Saquon next year, right? we want this guy to be here for a couple of years. So, Sheil, looking ahead to next year, I'm going to give you 4 Eagles free agents, and I want you to rank them who you would want to keep, who priority 1 through 4. Zach Bond, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Mekhi Becton.
Okay, I think Zach Bond is a pretty easy one for me because I look at the state of the roster and I look at what he meant to this defense and kind of the flexibility he allowed and what a great fit he was for the scheme. And you look at it, we don't know what Nakobe Dean's going to be able to give them next year, and the other guys on the roster, Oren Burks did a nice job filling in, but he's not Zach Bond. So he would be number 1 for me if I'm looking at it. The other guys you mentioned, now obviously price matters, but if you're just telling me, hey, you have the ability to bring them back, I think I would probably go Milton Williams, number 2.
Wow.
You could go Josh Sweat there, but I just think Milton Williams is only, 25, 26 years old, homegrown guy. You drafted him, and I feel like that interior pass rush is so important, having a guy next to Jalen Carter who can be effective. And so I would probably go him 2. I would go Josh Sweat 3. I think you can have you could make a push for Josh Sweat to be number 2, given kind of the state of your edge group. But I just think maybe Milton Williams, his best football is ahead of him more so than Josh Sweat. And I would go Mekhi Becton 4. It was a great story. I loved seeing his face, his emotion on the field after that game when it's like he was just stuck with the Jets for the first part of his career. And, it's kind of like a lesser degree to the Saquon, where you kind of don't know what it's like to play in these big games and be a part of a team like this. So that was a great story. At the same time, you can't pay everyone. And I feel like you have Tyler Steen, you can draft. It's one spot on the offensive line. So that's probably how I would rank them.
All right, Sheil. Well, a successful season for us, for you,
yes,
and for the Eagles. Yeah. So let's do it again next year, if you would.
All right, guys. It was a lot of fun. I'm sure we will talk again at some point in the off season. Everyone, have fun at the parade, and we'll be talking free agency and draft before you know it.
That's right.
All right, Sheil. Thanks so much. There is Sheil Kapadia of The Ringer.